Jimmy Donaldson, better known as MrBeast, is possibly the most famous person on the internet. His nearly 500 million subscribers on YouTube is enough to impress anyone, although the allure of MrBeast is much more complicated than just saying he has a large audience. Jimmy's strict attention to detail and downright obsessive behavior towards content creation has completely shifted the culture of YouTube itself, and he has made a permanent impact on what it means to be a content creator. This obsessive personality has also led Jimmy to branch out to other business ventures, expanding his brand far past what you might expect. Interestingly, the common theme amongst all of these projects is that some form of controversy surrounds their existence. So today I wanted to take a closer look at the many businesses of MrBeast, and decide for myself just how successful they really are. One of the most notable content styles on the MrBeast channel are his last to leave challenges, in which contestants are required to remain within a small area or keep their hand on an object for an extended period of time. In spite of their simplicity, these uploads have seen massive success, bringing in hundreds of millions of views. What's more, its simple nature gave many the impression that they too could win the challenge if given the opportunity. This is what birthed Finger on the App, a mobile application that gave anyone with a smartphone the ability to compete in an official MrBeast challenge. Much like the name suggests, participants simply had to put their finger on the screen and attempt to outlast other competitors from across the country for a chance to win 25 grand. Each user got 3 lives and would be frequently prompted to pop bubbles on their device to ensure that no one was cheating. The date was set for June 30th, 2020, and the event was met with great anticipation, with over 1 million people taking part in the challenge. After 3 days, the number shrunk all the way down to just 4 contestants who had continued to keep their appendage on the phone. With seemingly no end in sight, MrBeast called the challenge early and awarded the finalists with $20,000 each. While this was a win at the time, in hindsight, I'm not exactly sure MrBeast had the right to end the event early without giving each of the finalists their full 25 grand. Why did he get chintzy on the last 5K? Regardless, the event went extremely well, aside from one small issue. Some of the contestants chose to document their efforts by live streaming their attempts on Twitch and YouTube. Online trolls gave their best effort to spoil the competition for anyone they could. Using fake usernames, they tricked dozens of players into unintentionally activating their iPhone's Siri function, temporarily closing the app and disqualifying them as a result.
Wait, did we get any new followers? Oh, hey Ziri, I appreciate the... Oh my god!
I don't know what that means.
Bruh. Are you kidding me?
Bruh.
Despite these caveats, preparation quickly began for the second Finger on the App challenge. With a massive $100,000 prize and a brand new upgraded system now loaded with the ability to pay MrBeast for extra lives, expectations were higher than ever, although nobody could have predicted how much of a disaster it would end up being. Things took a turn for the worse right off the bat when users reported that the game was randomly closing on them, disqualifying fans from the challenge unfairly. Other contestants began losing their lives despite keeping their finger on the screen and actively engaging with the app when prompted.
I was playing normally, right? At 6 hours. I had 3 hearts right here. I was doing just fine, playing legitly with my chat. Okay, now watch this. What? Like what?
What is that?
How does someone move their finger like that?
Yeah, and it's going on and on.
There is no sweat on the
No.
screen. This is...
No.
Come on, this has to be addressed, man.
Understandably, these contestants were furious, having sunk hours of their time into a contest they never had a chance to win. These feelings were even worse for those who had spent real money in-game to buy extra lives, as their hard-earned cash was essentially burned right in front of their eyes. Many took to Twitter to voice their frustrations, and others began review bombing the challenge in the Apple and Google store pages. MrBeast and the development team gave a plethora of different excuses for why these glitches were happening. Some of them were chalked up to malfunctions on their device's hardware, while others were explained as internet connectivity issues. But it doesn't appear they ever acknowledged any technical errors on their behalf. Jimmy himself also reiterated the sentiment that these issues were entirely out of their control, placing all of the blame on those who were disqualified from the challenge. While he did offer refunds for anyone who spent money on extra lives, his statement was met with overwhelming backlash. One of the main problems with his excuse was the fact that internet connectivity or touchscreen malfunctions were not prominent issues during the first challenge, raising the question of how they became such a frequent problem the second time around. Some claim that the app was a full-blown scam, while others argued that MrBeast was offering $100,000 for free, and no one was inherently entitled to the reward. After a little over 2 days, the winner of the challenge was officially announced, and the event came to an end. In spite of the negative sentiments, many were still eager for the third finger on the app challenge, although considering it has been almost 5 years since the last event, it's clear that it will never return. While some have declared the finger on the app challenge as a massive failure, it did succeed in one aspect. It proved that MrBeast was capable of drawing eyes from all across the country, and delivering an experience that everyone wanted to be a part of. And with this small win, he was confident in his next major project, MrBeast Burger. During the height of the global shutdown in 2020, people were staying inside and ordering takeout more than ever, mainly through apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats. Meanwhile, MrBeast was finding ways to utilize this growing trend to his advantage, culminating with his restaurant, MrBeast Burger. The business soft launched for a singular day on November 2020 in Wilson, North Carolina, where MrBeast and friends handed out free burgers and stacks of cash to everyone who showed up. The turnout was so massive that cars were lined up for 20 miles, and local police had to get involved due to the overwhelming traffic. The event was documented and uploaded to YouTube in a video titled, "I opened a restaurant that pays you to eat at it."
Put it on a... Yeah! I've never ran a restaurant before. Money for you, money for you, money for you, money for you. You better come get a Beast Burger.
But this was more than just another MrBeast upload, as it promoted the official MrBeast Burger restaurant chain, with over 300 different locations across the United States, a number that later shot up to 1,700. Whether it be for their love of MrBeast or the pure novelty of eating a YouTuber burger, people couldn't get enough of the product, and the company sold over 1 million sandwiches after just 4 months. This success was enough to incentivize Jimmy to launch his first ever in-person burger joint in 2020. Located in the American Dream Mall in New Jersey, the restaurant's opening day was met with tens of thousands of screaming MrBeast fans, all hoping to get a table at the 300-person capacity restaurant. But how was Jimmy able to run a restaurant chain for nearly 2 years without a single physical restaurant? Well, it was thanks to his partnership with Virtual Dining Concepts, a company that helps creatives facilitate partnerships with ghost kitchens. For those unaware, a ghost kitchen is a digital restaurant with no physical location. Pre-existing businesses are contracted to fulfill mobile orders for the ghost kitchen as well as their own personal services. According to Jimmy himself, his main incentive for creating MrBeast Burger was to help small mom-and-pop shops during the pandemic, enabling them to make some extra cash fulfilling orders for MrBeast. Ghost kitchens have since lost most of their appeal, being a bygone fad of the era of the pandemic, but at the time it seemed like a genius idea.
Is it cool to own a burger joint?
So when I first started it, this is when COVID was at its height. So we started a virtual restaurant. A lot of restaurants were laying people off. And Beast Burger, originally why we got into it, is it was like a way for restaurants to make extra money.
Yeah.
So if you're a mom and pop and, you know, that lockdowns, you can't even serve people in your restaurant, your revenue just cut in half, you could just start serving Beast Burger. And then anytime anyone within 8 miles places an order, you fulfill it, you get to keep a majority of the revenue.
Yeah.
On top of this, using ghost kitchens streamlines the entire process of starting a restaurant franchise and makes the brand far more accessible, although they also come with their own set of downsides. One of the main reasons fast food chains are so successful is because of their reliability. When a customer orders from a McDonald's or Taco Bell, they have a reasonable expectation of the quality of the food they will be getting, regardless of which franchise they are ordering from. But MrBeast Burger utilized various different kitchens with their own unique sets of standards, equipment, and staff. This caused the quality of the average order to vary greatly. Some people would get exactly what they asked for, while others got less than stellar meals. Worst of all were the countless examples of undercooked beef and chicken. This is far more egregious than just a basic quality issue, as it poses potential health risks to the customer. Imagine if a kid died of salmonella poisoning after eating a Chris Tyson burger. Jimmy would remain relatively silent on the subject. Over time, many assumed that he had stepped away from MrBeast Burger, allowing it to run in the background while he focused on other projects like his Feastables chocolate company, which we'll get to later. Discourse surrounding the fast food's quality would die down for some time, only to be reignited by a viral video posted by Eddie Burback discussing the growing issues of ghost kitchens. Notably, an entire section is dedicated to MrBeast Burger, going over false pretenses surrounding the company. Despite Jimmy's claims of his ghost kitchens being a way to help small businesses during financial hardship, it seemed to be anything but. The reality was that ghost kitchens weren't just being run out of mom-and-pop shops. They were also utilizing trailers and full-blown kitchens designed solely for mobile delivery orders.
So this is what is called a ghost kitchen. It is a select set of restaurants that are featured. The food's cooked here. As an Uber Eats driver, you come up here, you select your restaurant. Mine was supposed to be Drunken Dumpling, and then my order was Omar here. And what's crazy is, then, for right now, I'm waiting. There's your order board. And then once that's ready, one of these lockers will unlock and the food will be ready.
Not only were these facilities not being run through small businesses, but they flooded food delivery apps, making it even more difficult for mom-and-pop shops to secure customers. On top of this, Eddie also discussed the issues of quality in the food, showing off his own order which contained incorrect items that were visibly unappetizing.
Now the next item on the list was supposed to be a Carl's Deluxe, which is like a patty melt grilled cheese.
Is this the Beast Burger?
After looking at all of the order later, it was one of their Impossible Beast style burgers. This is what the Impossible Beast style burger is supposed to look like. And this looks like if somebody drew a burger for me. How is this real? It looks like a Krabby Patty.
Jimmy was able to avoid addressing issues with MrBeast Burger for some time, but Eddie's video made the topic unavoidable, and he had no choice but to respond. I started MrBeast Burger to help restaurants make more money during the pandemic, and it worked. But sadly, when working with 2,000 restaurants I don't own, it's impossible to guarantee the order quality. I'm moving on from MrBeast Burger so I can focus on Feastables and making snacks. When asked if this meant he would be shutting down the burger franchise, Jimmy said, "I would if I could, but the company I partnered with won't let me stop, even though it's terrible for my brand. Young Beast signed a bad deal." Both of these tweets were quickly deleted, leaving many to speculate about the future of MrBeast Burger. Despite Mr. Donaldson's public disapproval, the company continued operating for the foreseeable future, although everything would change in August of 2023, when MrBeast filed a lawsuit against the aforementioned virtual dining concepts. The complaint alleges that VDC was responsible for reputational damage done to the MrBeast brand, citing a plethora of negative reviews and bad press received from the poor quality of the food, and claims that VDC refused to correct the issues. Upon learning of the significant criticisms of MrBeast Burger and the devastating attacks on his own personal brand and reputation, MrBeast, personally and/or through his representatives, immediately raised concerns with virtual dining concepts, including in regularly weekly or bi-weekly meetings, and sought to correct virtual dining concepts' failure to exercise adequate quality control over the product and the business. Unfortunately, in addition to failing to take steps to improve the quality of the product being delivered to MrBeast customers and fans, Virtual Dining Concepts has continued to use MrBeast's brand, image, and likeness without his prior consent, as is required under their contract, in connection with their relentless, irresponsible expansion across the globe. VDC issued a public response, claiming that the suit was riddled with false statements, and said they were looking forward to having their day in court. Shortly after, the company countersued MrBeast Investments LLC for $100 million, alleging numerous contractual violations on behalf of Jimmy himself. A week later, MrBeast dismissed his lawsuit altogether, however is still actively involved in the countersuit with VDC filed against him. MrBeast Burger continues to operate with no direct tie to its namesake, including its physical New Jersey location, and it's very possible this will continue if MrBeast's case is not favored in court. It's safe to say that Jimmy learned some valuable lessons from his failures with MrBeast Burger, which he used to his advantage in his next major business, Feastables. As Jimmy's relationship with virtual dining concepts soured behind the scenes, he began work on his next big project, Feastables Chocolate. First announced in January of 2022, the MrBeast bar was advertised as a better-for-you alternative to the market's biggest chocolate brands, with only 5 organic ingredients and no artificial flavors.
I wanted to just make a better for you snack brand because I think a lot of the stuff out there is just terrible for you.
With Feastables, like Hershey's, for example, there's 10 ingredients, super processed. Our Feastables bars are 5 ingredients, and just all the ingredients are way higher quality.
Even more enticing was the $1 million sweepstakes tied to the candy, offering anyone who bought a bar the chance to win cash prizes, cars, jet skis, or even a golden ticket to visit a real-life chocolate factory. Suffice to say, Feastables was a massive success, selling 1 million bars in just 3 days, and generating over $10 million in sales after just 4 months. Unfortunately, in spite of this success, MrBeast Chocolate has been arguably just as controversial as the aforementioned Beast Burger. One glaring issue felt early on by consumers were the design flaws present in the packaging and chocolate bar itself. The in-store display boxes were incapable of supporting the weight of the candy and would frequently fall off the shelves. To make matters worse, the bars didn't have enough separation grooves, meaning that if they fell onto the floor, they would shatter into dozens of small pieces, making it extremely cumbersome to eat. Ultimately, this left many of the displays unorganized and messy. MrBeast took to Twitter to address this issue, acknowledging the poor state of the displays and calling on his followers to tidy them up. Some were eager to take part and help their favorite YouTuber, while others accused MrBeast of trying to extract free labor from children. The idea of a multi-millionaire asking his followers for unpaid work came across as extremely tone-deaf, and users began vandalizing Feastables displays in protest. Jimmy's tweet became a trending topic for the next few days, and sparked discussions around corporate greed and the supposed pitfalls of capitalism. To remedy the issue, MrBeast pledged to donate $100,000 to charity for anyone who volunteered, and Feastables created a contest that incentivized the cleanup with a chance to win $5,000. Although this only seemed to make things worse, as the contest rules suggested that fans ask Walmart employees to bring extra chocolate from the back, so they could personally restock the shelves. The reality was that no amount of charitable donations or cash prize giveaways could fix the actual issue, and so MrBeast and his team went back to the drawing board. In March of 2024, Feastables would reveal its brand new redesign. On top of new packaging, the bars were made thicker, given natural breakpoints to avoid shattering, and the boxes were designed to keep the chocolate from falling out. Most notable, however, was its new and improved formula. Something I have yet to mention are the lackluster reviews that plagued the original Feastables bars. There was an overwhelming sentiment that the chocolate lacked flavor, with some even calling the bars disgusting and inedible. It turns out that the small organic ingredient list didn't match the palates of the children who would be buying these sweets. The next formula sought to improve the chocolate's flavor, and by all accounts it seemed to be a success. Aside from the recently released Feastables chocolate milk, which has been universally criticized.
I did not like that. What is that? That one tastes like cardboard. It's the MrBeast. Yeah, it's terrible.
Although the candy bar improvement was at the cost of its better-for-you branding, doing away with its organic ingredients in favor of less healthy alternatives did seem to work, until people looked at the new nutritional label. This was controversial in its own right, as MrBeast never directly clarified that these new bars were no longer better for you. In fact, when comparing a Feastables bar to a Hershey bars, it actually had more calories gram for gram. As shady as this may seem, the formula was not the only controversial change made. A dark reality that surrounds the chocolate industry is that its main ingredient, cacao, is overwhelmingly sourced with child slave labor. This problem goes relatively unaddressed from major chocolate brands. Luckily, Feastables prided itself on being slave labor free. In fact, they slowly began incorporating the slave-free trait in their branding, dedicating an entire page on their website to their commitment to ethical sourcing. Strangely enough, though, with no explanation, any mention of their anti-slave labor policies was removed from the website back in October of 2023. implying that they may have started employing less ethical means to source their chocolate. At first, this detail went unnoticed, until it was discussed in an upload titled "Most Damning MrBeast Allegation is About Feastables," strangely uploaded by the desk chair reviewing channel Honestly. He implies that MrBeast had likely begun using slave labor, and removed information about it from their website to avoid legal repercussions. What's worse is the allegation that MrBeast had planned to use slave labor all along. Quite a bold claim. The literal armchair critic makes this logical jump due to the fact that Feastables had been certified by the Rainforest Alliance, a non-government organization that had personally verified their ethical practices. He goes on to point out the stamp had never been included in the candy bar's packaging, both before and after its rebrand.
When I saw the packaging for Feastables, both old and new, there was no Rainforest Alliance certified logo anywhere. Now, why would these brilliant marketers choose to leave that off when that would, again, boost your brand favorability in the eyes of consumers? The only conclusion that I can think of is that MrBeast knew. He knew that one day they were going to get rid of that certification. If one day that package has a frog logo on it and the next day it disappears, people will notice.
Of course, this was nothing more than speculation on behalf of someone not directly involved with the business, and MrBeast was able to shed light on what had happened. As it turns out, Feastables had been sourcing all of their cacao from Peru, which has very little ethical complications with farming. However, as demand grew larger, the supply couldn't keep up, and Feastables was forced to expand to West Africa, where child slave labor is far more common. In an effort to maintain their ethical sourcing, Mr. Donaldson teamed up with Tony's Open Chain, which helped them ensure that their cacao was only sourced by adults who were paid fairly.
They're big on saying exploitation free instead of slave free, which is why we switched it. Everything I'm telling you here, I want all that up there, you know what I mean? And which we've been working on.
Since this controversy, the website has been officially updated, once again affirming their chocolate is ethically sourced and exploitation free. Feastables continues to be a relatively successful company to this very day, and is still a prominent fixture of the MrBeast brand. In fact, Feastables was also included in his next business endeavor, Lunchly. In September of 2024, and now with billionaire status due to his growing empire, Jimmy next announced his brand new lunch kit for kids, Lunchly. With less calories, less fat, less sugar, and more electrolytes, Lunchly sold itself as a better-for-you alternative to Lunchables, much like Feastables did with Hershey. And as controversial as Beast Burger and Feastables were, Lunchly was divisive before anyone could even get their hands on a box. Notably, MrBeast had teamed up with KSI and Logan Paul to include both a Feastables bar and a bottle of Prime Hydration in every box. Paul and KSI both have a long and documented history of controversies, and are easily considered to be some of the most hated people on the internet. MrBeast, despite having a large backlog of controversies of his own, was still expected to serve as a role model. And his association with the likes of a man who filmed with porn stars and promoted crypto scams was considered to be a poor decision for his family-friendly image. Others took issue with the business venture in and of itself. Most notable was old-school YouTuber Dan TDM. What happened to YouTubers, man? I can't not say anything anymore. This is selling stuff for the sake of making money. Simple. How does this benefit their fans? This is selling crap to kids who don't know better than to trust the people who are selling it to them. Do better. KSI was quick to clap back at Dan, exposing that he had also sold products designed for children and called him a hypocrite. This post was ironically community noted, pointing out that KSI had also worked with the same toy brand that Dan had. Regardless, KSI doubled down in future tweets, attempting to point out Dan's hypocrisy. But he was talking about food, JJ. He was sponsored, then promoted, and made a whole video on Munch Pack, a monthly sub box full of food and candy to his Minecraft audience full of kids. Now what? Many found this argument equally unconvincing, as taking a one-time sponsorship with a brand is vastly different than owning an entire company. On top of this, KSI was once again community noted, which seemed to be a common theme for posts related to Lunchly. As a result, Logan fired off several tweets complaining about the community notes feature, and pleaded for Elon Musk to fix the issue. While both his business partners were creating a PR disaster for his brand new company, Jimmy remained relatively silent. Although as discussion continued around whether or not Lunchley was healthy for children, he finally offered his own thoughts on the situation, albeit much more coherently. Obviously, eating fresh chicken and broccoli is healthier, but if someone is going to eat a pre-made meal like this, which millions of people do through Lunchables, then I think giving them a higher quality version at roughly the same price is a net good in my opinion, and why we launched Lunchley. Also, as we get economies of scale and can get things cheaper, we will be only improving the product more and more. No amount of public backlash was going to prevent Lunchley from hitting store shelves, and they became available a short time later, although controversy wouldn't stop here. Lunchley became a prominent fixture of the month's cycle of memes, frequently included in brain rot edits and ironically portrayed as a coveted luxury item. The Lunchley announcement video was also heavily satirized, specifically a line in which Logan Paul marvels over the consistency of the queso dip in the nacho meal kit, where he says, "I like my cheese drippy, bruh."
I like my cheese drippy, bruh.
Although there were less lighthearted aspects of the product's debut. Despite boasting about their 100% real cheese, customers began noticing mold inside of their unexpired packages. And this wasn't just an issue present in a select few stores, as people from all across the country reported that their pizza Lunchleys were spoiled. Most notable was from professional MrBeast hater Rosanna Pansino. And just like that, Lunchley had once again become the main topic of discussion online, and rumors began circulating that the mass quality of moldy boxes had gotten the meal kit recalled from store shelves. The thing is, this wasn't the case, as there was no official statement from the FDA that Lunchley had actually been recalled. In a video uploaded to Twitter, Logan Paul reveals that he had gone through the trouble of personally verifying the exact store this sign was located in, and directly confronted the employee responsible. He even takes it a step further by showing the employee's face in the video, albeit with a censored black bar over his eyes. Many found this decision to be in poor taste, and it only looked worse when the employee gave his side of the story. Casey, who was working as the store's manager, was tasked with printing and placing signs for recalled items that were contaminated. That's when he came across the Lunchley section of the store, which was completely empty.
I was curious because I had noticed that had been out for a while, and I walked up to my boss and asked, should I post a sign, do you think? And he's like, well, it's going to take me a sec because I'm super busy. Do believe that it was on the recall list. So you can go ahead and do that.
The sign was only up for a few days, and was taken down once they had verified there was no recall, although it was during this time that someone was able to snap a picture. What was a simple mistake resulted in Casey being suspended without pay, thanks in large part to millionaire Logan Paul's public call-out. As for the issue of mold within the packages, Logan chalked this up to factors outside the brand's control.
And yes, it's possible that issues happen in transit, like a seal breaking, or at the store level with rough handling. But just like any produce you buy, problems can arise.
On one hand, Lunchley seemed to have a unique problem with mold that wasn't present in other refrigerated meal kits. Then again, due to its cultural relevance, you could argue the issue of mold were amplified, causing it to become a bigger issue than it really was. Since this fiasco, Lunchley has faded out of the public view. While it's still available on store shelves, the company's figureheads have been notably quiet about their product. The Lunchley social media pages have also remained inactive for nearly a year after their release, with only 2 posts since October of 2024. This is bizarre when you consider how frequently MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul all promote their own Feastables and Prime products, indicating that they have intentionally distanced themselves from this brand. It was clear that MrBeast's reputation took a hit from the PR disaster that was Lunchley, although his notoriety as a content-creating genius was well intact. This helped him take on his biggest endeavor yet, Beast Games. Jimmy's success on YouTube redefined how many perceive online content creation. In fact, his impact on the platform was so revolutionary that even mainstream media outlets wanted in on the action. This includes Amazon, who inked a $100 million contract with MrBeast, and gave him full creative control to create an exclusive game show for Prime Video. With 1,000 contestants fighting for a grand prize of $5 million, Beast Games was set to be the biggest game show in television history. The stakes were high, and not just for the contestants, as MrBeast himself had the potential to create a new path for content creators in the industry.
If this flops, then people are gonna be like, yeah, YouTubers aren't capable of, making it on streaming platforms. And I recognize it could either have a massive positive effect and that every streaming platform is gonna be throwing deals left and right at creators, or a negative effect, and people are gonna go, if Jimmy couldn't make a hit show, what makes you think you can?
Beast Games kicked off in July of 2024 at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. To the shock of those participating in the games, there were double as many contestants as originally promised. As it turns out, this first day was meant to be a 3-day preliminary challenge, in which 2,000 contestants would compete to make the final 1,000-person roster. This was done so the 2,000 to 1,000 reduction challenge would be made as a promotional video for the MrBeast channel for the real show, although many of the contestants were unhappy with this revelation. But things would only continue to sour as the challenges began, and reports started flooding in that contestants were being hospitalized due to the lack of food and water. One employee at the nearby Desert Springs Hospital claimed that the facility was slammed overnight, and alleged that the on-site medical staff was incapable of properly caring for the contestants. Another individual who had been participating in the event claimed that people were not being given access to their medications, denied food and water, and even began having seizures. When contestants were given food to eat, the meals were extremely small and generally unappetizing. Contestants claimed that for dinner they received a single boiled egg, a few small vegetables, and a small cup of oatmeal. Some also reported receiving food they were allergic to and were not given alternatives when requested. Keep in mind, contestants were expected to compete in physically demanding tasks, potentially underfed or without food entirely. But the madness didn't stop there. Various accounts from different contestants portray a wide range of complications. Many contestants struggled to get proper sleep due to filming through the nights, and only were permitted to rest in the middle of the day. Some female contestants who were menstruating claimed that they were forced to wait days to receive fresh pairs of underwear. And a diabetic contestant claimed that they waited days to receive their insulin, which could have potentially had fatal consequences. This story would come to a head with the release of an article published by the New York Times. The title, "Willing to Die for MrBeast," references a contract signed by every contestant who took part, with one line reading, "I understand that such activities may cause me death, illness, or serious bodily injury, including but not limited to exhaustion, dehydration, overexertion, burns, and heat stroke." Of course, this is standard language found in just about any liability waiver. That said, it is concerning when you consider that the production staff seemingly hadn't done their due diligence in preventing these issues from happening. What was supposed to be a revolutionary step in the online content creation industry was proving to be a massive failure. In response, the MrBeast PR team would reject many of the allegations made about the event. We have communicated directly with 97% of the 2,000 people who attended to ask for feedback, having launched a formal review of the process, and have taken steps to ensure that we learn from this experience, and we are excited to welcome hundreds of men and women to the world's largest game show in history. Anyone involved with a production of this size recognizes that something will inevitably go wrong. But there was such a small percentage of people affected, and there were personalized calls to over 2,000 people to follow up, which demonstrates how much the Beast team values every single person. There were less than 1% of people complaining. While they did acknowledge some mistakes were made, they denied major claims of withholding medications or severe malnourishment. They chalked up contestants not receiving their medications as a miscommunication, and conceded that while 10 people did in fact go to the hospital, they were mostly because of sprained ankles and bruised shoulders. What's more, they placed most of the blame on logistical complications out of their control, such as the CrowdStrike incident, a temporary outage that affected Microsoft computers across the globe. On top of this, when having 2,000 people in a room together, someone was bound to have an issue, just as if you randomly selected 2,000 people throughout their day-to-day existence. But these excuses would do little in quelling public backlash, and many contestants were still frustrated with the conditions they were subjected to. This culminated in a class action lawsuit being filed against both Amazon and MrBeast. The suit alleges many of the same issues addressed thus far: inadequate access to food, water, and medication. Although it also presents new allegations as well, including emotional abuse and sexual harassment. A large chunk of the official complaint filed in court is heavily redacted, and so it is difficult to fully describe the scope of the allegations. However, one female plaintiff said, "I expected to be challenged, but I didn't think I would be treated like nothing, less than nothing. And as one of the women, I can say it absolutely felt like a hostile environment for us. We honestly could not have been respected less, as people, much less employees, if they tried." MrBeast has said little about the lawsuit, aside from the occasional comment that the situation was in the hands of the court. The legal matter is still ongoing to this day, and it is uncertain what the outcome will be. However, this PR nightmare does not seem to have soured the relationship between MrBeast and Amazon, as a second season of Beast Games was approved shortly after. Undoubtedly, Beast Games was the absolute pinnacle of the MrBeast formula. And soon enough, MrBeast would be moving on to his next conquest, that is, in his children toy line, MrBeast Lab. In January of 2024, it was announced that MrBeast would be teaming up with Moose Toys to produce his own set of custom MrBeast-themed merchandise. The CEO of said company, Paul Solomon, described the line as the most anticipated launch of the year. MrBeast is widely iconic and the biggest influencer on the planet. By combining his unique brand of innovation with our Moose wow factor, we have created a phenomenal line of products that will be highly sought after. We're incredibly honored he entrusted Moose as a partner and co-creator. MrBeast Labs is a toy kit featuring various small activities designed to replicate science experiments. Kids got the chance to make slime, brew potions, and build robot figurines, as if they were mad scientists in a lab. The toy kits also feature small collectible figures, with different variations of rarity, incentivizing kids to get more and more kits in the hopes of collecting a rare item. Young fans of MrBeast eagerly awaited their chance to get their hands on the kits, with the product line set to release in August of that same year, although complications would arise before the toys officially hit store shelves, when allegations against MrBeast's Ava Tyson went public. Claims of inappropriate conversations with minors were only the tip of the iceberg, as it was also revealed that Ava had shown a particular affinity for underage anime characters, and had shown appreciation for the infamous lolicon artist Shadman, who is often referred to as the Jeffrey Epstein of YouTube. This controversy came to a head when both Ava and MrBeast announced that she would be removed from the company and no longer appear in any MrBeast videos. But while the dust was still settling on this fiasco, MrBeast's toy line was set to release with a massive ad campaign and promotional material. Of course, marketing a kid's product in the midst of this controversy involving minors was unwise, and following the backlash, Jimmy opted to quietly release his toy line with minimal further promotion. Regardless of him reducing shoutouts, Twitter users continue to roast the YouTuber, including one post stating, "Bro does not care, lol. Literally, how can you drop a toy for kids right after the Chris Tyson stuff?" In MrBeast's defense, it's obvious he signed a contract and had to release the product on schedule, and he certainly would have preferred to release them at a more optimal time. Aside from that, the toy line would also gain controversy for its origins. It goes without saying that MrBeast's brands had little to do with science experiments, begging the question as to why he would choose to go in this direction for a toy line. Well, as it turns out, the kits were just rebranded versions of a defunct line of merchandise simply named Beast Labs, produced by Moose Toys, the exact same company. It's likely that they struck up a deal with the YouTube powerhouse in the hopes of selling off their products, and it seems to have been relatively successful. To this day, MrBeast Labs has continued to expand with different kits and toy sets, and most recently have released an animated show sharing the same name. While Labs was perfect to keep your young child occupied for a couple of hours, there was still a desire for a MrBeast-themed experience for the whole family. And what better way to create that experience than with a MrBeast amusement park? In November of 2025, Jimmy announced his brand new MrBeast theme park, aptly named Beastland. In his official announcement, he showcased the many different attractions that would be available, all of which were inspired by classic MrBeast challenges. To say fans were excited is an understatement, although there was a crucial piece of information conspicuously absent from this post, that being the location of the theme park. This omission would ultimately prove to be extremely controversial. As it turns out, Beastland would be located in Saudi Arabia, which immediately raised ethical concerns in regards to the well-documented records of human rights violations taking place in that country. For starters, Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy, with no free elections, no political parties, and no system for checks and balances. Not only do the citizens have no democratic power, but their rights to freedom of speech are heavily suppressed. In fact, anyone who criticizes the government runs the risk of being arrested. That's not to mention the countless discriminatory laws against women, LGBTQ individuals, and religious minorities who are treated as second-class citizens. In fact, Saudi Arabia has also been alleged of utilizing slave labor as their immigrant workforce is systematically oppressed with unfair wages and untenable working conditions. With this context, the decision to host a family-friendly theme park in this country was an extremely poor one. MrBeast explained that he chose Saudi Arabia due to its centralized location on the globe, and appealed to his large international audience as a factor in his decision. Although this explanation avoids the crucial context that led to the actual park's creation. It was announced all the way back in May that MrBeast had signed a contract to bring Beastland to the 2025 Riyadh season, an annual cultural event directly funded by the royal family. More specifically, it is a part of the government program called Saudi Vision 2030, which was created to reshape their standing on the global stage. Through the implementation of vision realization programs, Saudi Vision 2030 sought to diversify the country's economic output. It's worth mentioning that their economy is extremely reliant on oil production, which, while lucrative, is extremely volatile. And so they have begun diversifying through many different avenues, including the entertainment industry. Although economic enrichment is just one of the reasons why they have tried to establish themselves as a powerhouse of entertainment. The hope is that their close association with prominent figures like MrBeast could help clean up their negative reputation, allowing their history of human rights violations to take a back seat to their new role as an entertainment juggernaut. In fact, MrBeast is just one of many high-profile figures who have struck up a deal with the Saudi government, with others including WWE, AMC Theaters, Formula One racing, esports, and high-profile athletes like Tom Brady. While Saudi Arabia is trying to improve their public image with sporting events and theme parks, they have done very little to do away with their human rights violations. This brings us back to why people are upset with MrBeast. Jimmy Donaldson has branded himself on his philanthropy and charitable endeavors, including fighting against slave labor. Rather than speaking out against injustices taking place in Saudi Arabia, he is signing massive contracts with the country's government to help improve their image. Aside from this, it appears that everything with Beastland went relatively smoothly, closing at the end of December with little issues to speak of. However, it does raise questions as to where MrBeast's intentions truly lie, particularly with his more philanthropic efforts. While it is possible that Mr. Donaldson was simply unaware of the glaring human rights violations, he has continued to remain silent in the face of criticism. With so many companies under the MrBeast umbrella, you'd think at least one of them would lack controversy, and for a while that was the case with his YouTube metric project called Viewstats, but that too would soon face the wrath of the World Wide Web. Mr. Donaldson managed to become one of the largest creators online thanks to his attention to detail. It's no secret that MrBeast has obsessed over every single aspect of the YouTube process, culminating in a wealth of knowledge about the platform.
Yeah. If you knew what I knew, you could get 10 million views a video, and you could get 10 million subscribers no matter where you are right now within 6 months.
In the hopes of passing on this knowledge to a wider audience, he released Viewstats. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with Social Blade, a website that allows you to look at any YouTube channel's metrics and see how they're performing. While Social Blade was good a decade ago, over time it stagnated and now has very little utility, and many creators have gone on the record to state that the information it provides is entirely inaccurate. Viewstats sought to remedy both of these issues, providing more accurate data and empowering creators to use the algorithm to their advantage. Viewstats includes a list of trending topics and videos to inform creators on what they should make next, and a thumbnail search engine to help draw inspiration for their own projects. This was overall a beloved product for many YouTubers. That is, until they decided to add an extra service in the form of artificial intelligence. Initially, the website had very bare-bones AI functionality, such as a tool that scanned your own thumbnails and found similar counterparts to draw inspiration from. However, Viewstats would receive heavy backlash with its implementation of its AI-generated thumbnail maker.
There's a new way to make professional-looking viral thumbnails with zero Photoshop experience. To literally being able to put your face on a thumbnail, it literally feels like cheating.
The tool allowed creators to take anyone's channel and use their thumbnails as a template to create their own. It also allowed people to directly steal thumbnails and make slight alterations to them, including putting their own face on a different person's body. Worst of all is that in Jimmy's promotion of the service, he used creators' logos without permission, including Jacksepticeye, who wrote, "What the actual f***? And he used my logo in the promotion for it too? I hate what this platform is turning into. AI." Suffice to say, people came down hard on MrBeast for this decision, feeling as though he was empowering people to steal from other creators through unethical means. Typically, when MrBeast finds himself in controversy, he will try to recontextualize his intentions, and even justify them, but this time it was different. A week after the AI thumbnail tool's release, MrBeast announced that he had removed it from the website, and had added a funnel to help creators contact human thumbnail artists to commission. He goes on to admit that he missed the mark and hopes that the negative situation can be turned into a positive one. Beyond Viewstats, MrBeast is also involved in other B2B solutions, including another company named Creator Global. There's a secret to MrBeast's fame that extends farther than just the United States, which is that he is a global superstar well known all over the planet. And this was not coincidental, as Jimmy has personally done everything to break language barriers and make his content accessible to everyone, but he couldn't do it without some help. Farbod Mansourian created his company Unilingo in 2017, which sought to work with English-speaking YouTubers to create dubbed versions of their videos. Being so early in this space, he has worked with big names before landing a massive deal with Mr. Donaldson, even temporarily moving to Greenville, North Carolina. Together, the two created multiple MrBeast YouTube channels in various languages, in the hopes of expanding his reach across the globe.
Only, whatever, less than 10% of the world speaks English, so 90% of the world can't even enjoy your content. And when I realized that, I was like, wait a minute, 90% of the world can't even watch this stuff.
This business relationship was successful from the beginning, with MrBeast's Spanish dubbed channel becoming one of the fastest growing on the platform. This success heavily influenced YouTube's decision to make multi-track dubbing as a single channel feature, and eventually MrBeast's alternate language channels were consolidated into his main. While information is sparse, it appears that this relationship with Unilingo eventually fell through, as MrBeast announced his own dubbing company around the time multi-track dubbing was about to go into effect. Of course, there's no harm in moving on from a company to create his own brand. However, it would later be alleged that MrBeast had unethically poached Unilingo's employees to bring on to Creator Global. An anonymous MrBeast employee alleged that MrBeast poached Unilingo's employees and copied their whole business and created Creator Global. This was revealed in the infamous Dogpack 404 expose series, which alleged a wide array of different claims about MrBeast, including workplace harassment, abuse, scams, and fraud. The former employee also reveals a disturbing pattern of behavior regarding a prominent MrBeast producer named LaKoya Hill. After being fired for workplace harassment at MrBeast, he was quietly dumped off to work at Unilingo, presumably as a favor, before being rehired in 2023 as the MrBeast COO. Notably, after Dogpack began releasing his videos, LaKoya's position would change once again, with his LinkedIn claiming to be the president of Creator Global. So if we read between the lines, it would appear that they moved LaKoya Hill to Unilingo, while there LaKoya absorbed as much as he could about the company, before MrBeast brought him back into the fold at his company, where they poached Unilingo employees, then made their own competing company. If this is true, it would be extremely unethical in more ways than one. As damning as this claim is, it's worth considering that many of Dogpack's allegations have since been disregarded, as he is perceived as an unreliable narrator at best. What's more is that Dogpack levied such a wide array of different allegations that some claims got more attention than others. People were far more concerned about workplace harassment allegations than they were about what Jimmy was doing with Unilingo and Creator Global. And because of the lack of attention brought to this subject, it has never been formally addressed by MrBeast himself. Unilingo still operates to this day, and there is no direct proof that MrBeast actually did what he's accused of. What is certain is that MrBeast will do anything to expand his brand, whether it be through language dubbing in his videos, or as it was recently revealed, mobile banking services. A common theme you may have noticed for each of these MrBeast business endeavors is that he has constantly broken boundaries for what would be expected from the average content creator. While most YouTubers sell shirts and hats, MrBeast is starting restaurants, creating game shows, and building theme parks. He always manages to defy expectations, and his most recent endeavor is no different. In March of 2025, a leaked investor deck was obtained by The Verge, revealing future plans to expand the MrBeast brand. One of the leaked plans was for a mobile phone service, planned to be released in 2026. It was also revealed in October of 2025 that MrBeast had filed a trademark for MrBeast Financial, which appears to be a banking app that would provide cryptocurrency, investment banking, and other services including a potential credit card. MrBeast reps confirmed the trademark was legitimate, but gave little insight on what it would be used for. We can assume that cryptocurrency will certainly be a factor in the business, as MrBeast has a well-documented affinity for the concept. The earliest example of this was from 2021, when MrBeast invested in 8 different CryptoPunks NFTs. He had done this on the advice of Gary Vee, a content creator well known for giving financial and business insight.
So there's like all these very successful people in this call, and Gary's just like, everyone shut the f up. Here's what you're gonna do, and you're gonna do it right now. You're all gonna buy a bunch of CryptoPunks. And we're all just like, he's like, who here owns one? And like one guy raised his hand, and it's because Gary bullied him into buying it the day before. And we're all just like, are you sure, Gary? And we're asking questions, and he's like, just buy it. I was just so pulled by his like conviction that I bought a bunch.
Jimmy claims that some of his CryptoPunks went up 20 to 30 times their original value, meaning he made a massive profit. Moreover, MrBeast has recently been alleged to profit over $23 million by dumping various tokens over the years. For example, investing $25,000 into a meme coin called Pokemon, and sold it off for $1.3 million before it crashed. Although it must be kept in mind that these are just allegations, which have only been made by blockchain investigators who have attempted to piece together a convoluted string of various transactions. Because of this uncertainty, MrBeast has clapped back at these claims, flat out denying that he has ever been involved in pump and dump schemes.
So most of the allegations there are just answered by I am too stupid to do that. That's why a fund was managing it, you know what I mean?
Overall, it's difficult to say what the truth really is, and it's unlikely these allegations will dissuade MrBeast from pushing forward in his latest business endeavors. For now, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. In conclusion, looking back at all the subjects we've discussed today, it seems like MrBeast has his hands in just about every single industry you can think of. And anything he hasn't explored yet is likely still on his bucket list, just waiting to be checked off. While it appears on the surface that he has a bad track record, to play devil's advocate, in actuality that is just the nature of every single business. Most entrepreneurs just don't have a microscope on them like Jimmy does. Still, it's a bit dystopian when you think about it. Imagine watching a MrBeast video on your MrBeast phone while eating your MrBeast burger and MrBeast chocolates, all while playing with your MrBeast toys that you paid for with your MrBeast credit card. As humorous as this sounds, we're not too far off. The only question that remains is what's next, and is there any project that's too big for MrBeast to take on?